ובוסו בסוד טרייפה לא יסוי חייפה. הרמב"ם, in Sefer HaMitzvos, Dom Sefer HaMitzvos, he brings that ובוסו בסוד טרייפה is called Lav Shel Dechlolos. That means that it includes a few types of loving that they all are included in the treife. We have also basod treife, regular treife that we all know. That Rambam says, Ilchos Macholes Asuros, Perek Dalet, that it's the Hanoito Lomus, Mechamas Makoiser. That's the regular treife that everybody knows. But also, treife is a name for Bosor Shiyotzo Chutz Mimchitzosoi. And that has two aspects. You have the Beimo Amekasho, Ubo Shoitzi Yad, Oitzi Hoish, and the Mechitze of the Uber is the Tfanes of the Beis HaRechem of the mother. And if he took out his hand, so the hand went out chutz lemechitze, and that's also called treife, because of the meaning of the word treife is something that came out of the border where it was supposed to stay. It didn't stay there. It went out. That's the reason that the Torah says bosor basode treife. That that means that he went out to the field. So when we speak about treife of Noito Lomus, so it's what the Rambam says that Pshata Kosuv Medaber Bechayo. We have a Chayo of Toirefes, Chayo HaToirefes, that is used to kill by giving a smack, a mako, to the behemoth. So that mako that he gives it with the nails, and that is the treifus of druso. In our modern days, we don't understand that inyan of druso. Rashi says that druso is a poison that is in the nails of the animal, and when the animal hits the behemoth, so the poison goes inside. And Tosfos at the beginning of Perek Shlishi, Tosfos says it's impossible to say that it's because of the neked. Because if it's because of the neked, so we have all those treifes, nekuvas aveshet, nekuvas dakim. So it's a neked. It's not a new treife. So it must be that the treife of druso is a new type of treife, that even if it doesn't make a hole in the ever, it's osid linkoy. So it's not because of the nekev, it's because of that. That's what the Tosfos says, that it's like burning. It's going slowly in the meat, and then it reaches the ever that has chiyus, and then the behemoth will die. Right now, that smack that the behemoth gave didn't touch the ever sheshno chiyus, ever shenifrefes boy, but it's on the way. Ve'al soy for it, because Lefi Teva, that's the way it works, that the poison goes slowly, and it reaches places that have chiyus. Even that now, the smack was, the behemoth hit, the chayo hit a place that has no tarfus. But it's keneged the cholol, soifoi le'agia lacholol. And that is Aruch HaShulchan, he asks, we see in the Mishnah, Beimo sheneshocho nochosh, Ksheiro mishum treife, ve'asuro mishum sakonas nefoshes. Why? Because the poison is poison that comes from outside. It's not a disease. It's not a machle, a chisoin, ever. So the akoshas anochosh, it's not called treife. So why is druso, if druso is also poison, so why is druso not only it's treife, that's the main treife that the Pasuk is speaking about, that is druso, that it's poison. So why is neshuchas anochosh, why is that not treife? What is the difference between those poisons? The chiluk is that the Chachmei Ativim, they say that the poison of the snake, it works only through the blood. If a snake bit somebody and he took that spot and he cut it off, or he sucked out the poison and he spit it, and it didn't reach his blood, so he won't die. That it used to be even one of the ways that they were fighting with the poison of a snake. So we have 3 levels of treife. The Rambam Perek Dalet, he brings 3 levels. We have nevele. Nevele is a dead behemoth, legamre. It's dead. We have treife. Treife is not dead now. It will be dead b'shneimesar chodesh if we hold shetreife eino chayo. We'll speak soon about that. But the treife is the beginning of the death. And the Belosho in Rambam says, Chatzi kazais treife, v'chatzi kazais nevele mitztarfim ze im ze. If somebody ate together 1 kazais that was built from half a kazais of treife, half a kazais of nevele, and we know that you can't get malkes for 2 different lavim. They have 2 different names. They're not mitztaref. But nevele utreife mitztarfim. Why? Rambam says, Hoil ve'atreife tchilas nevelei. Every treife that won't live, it's the beginning of nevele because it will die at the end. The shaila is, Ha'im ha'geder hazeh, שהרמב"ם, he says, שנבלה, טרייפה תחילס נבלה, האם זה רק למאן דאמר טרייפה אינו חיו? If we say טרייפה חיו, so it's wrong. It's not true that you say טרייפה תחילס נבלה. The טרייפה can live forever. It's not תחילס נבלה. So we have to know, האם הרמב"ם, because everybody holds שטרייפה אינו חיו, so that geder that Rambam said, שטרייפה תחילס נבלה, does it work only when you say טרייפה אינו חיו? We'll speak about that later. But we see that is the second level. We have nevele, treife is the beginning of nevele, and the third level is mesukenes. Mesukenes, the Rambam brings it at the end, ואין מושיכוי לו מחמס שתושש כויכו ונויטס לומוס הואיל ולא עירו מקו בעבר מעבוריה ממיסים אויסו הרי זוהי מותרס שלא יאוסרו תרא אלא כאין טריפס חייס היער שהרי נעשה בו מקו הממיסו אויסו. So לגבי מסוכנס הרמב"ם is telling us the geder of treife. He's explaining why Mesukenes is not Treife. So we can learn from that the geder of Treife. Rambam says, because the Mesukenes didn't have Mako be'ever me'evoreo. That's the point. That a Mako of Treife must be in the ever. The ever of the body that is destroyed or has a whole, has a problem. But mesukenes is a disease. Machle. That's a machle. You have germs, you have other things. But it's not the ever, all the evorim are whole. If, let's say, the behemoth will die, and you look at the behemoth, the mesukenes, you see all the ramach evorim, shasa, gidim, they all are completely okay. It's something chitzoni, dovo me'atzad, that is mesukenes. And that's the reason that mesukenes is muter.
טוב, מהצד הוא לא קיבל מכה.
It's the din because שהוא לא קיבל מכה. If it was מקבל מכה, that's treife.
אפשר
The
ללכת
ever is not good. It has a problem. But mesukenes, no avorim have any problem. It's only a disease. And that's the reason also, that's the difference between the, and the Rambam says, שלא יאוסרו תראה לו כאין טרפס חייס היה, שהרי נעשה בו מקו הממיסו איסו. So Rambam explains that the druso, the poison of the druso, how does it work? It hits the ever itself, when that poison is walking in the ever, so that's makwa memiso oiso. We have inside already something that makes the ever like it's nokuv, like it's posuk, like it's notru. It's like a mismus, that it's yeah. Okay? So, and by eres hanochosh, we don't have that. Eres hanochosh is mesukenes. Mesukenes, all the evorim are shleimim. We just have poison walking in the blood, okay? It's like we have there in the Mishnah also, there's achuza sadam. Achuza sadam, it has a sickness in the blood, but the body is sholem. And that is the inyan of treife. What is the machloikes, treifo chayo, treifo eno chayo? Ramban, Ran also brings in, it was mistapek. Usually we don't say machloikes b'metzias. Machloikes b'metzias is impossible. It can't be. If or it's like this, or it's like that. You can't do machloikes b'metzias. Even if you have, for example, bereish gitin, you have machloikes haim shayorois shchichei mibovel eretz Yisrael. So the machloikes is not, do we have 100 shayores a day or 200 shayores? You can go to the main road and count them. Chachamim will never have such a machloikes. The machloikes is that everybody knows we have 100 shayores. The shaila is the number 100 considered shchia? The same thing is by treifo chayo, treifo eno chayo. The truth is only one. The matziv of the behemoths that get those treifes, the chai treifes, is one thing. There are no 2 or 3 or 4 situations for those psukas agarieres. Okay, one thing happens to behemoth that has psukas agarieres. It will die, for sure. It will die, but Aman de Omar treifo chayo, he says, even though all the treifes that you check, you see that they die before 12 months, but it doesn't tell you. It's called hoichoche al derech hashlile. You don't have a proof to say that treifa can't live more than 12 months. All you have that you saw is, we saw that all the treifes didn't pass 12 months, but it's not a raya that they can't pass. It's not a raya. Even though it's for years, thousands of years, the Chachamim always look at the treifes and they say that they don't live more than Yud Beis Chodesh. But it's not a proof to say that it will never happen. So therefore, the machlokes treifo chayo, treifo eno chayo is, we all see that a behemoth that has those treifes, she can't live more than 12 months. But is that muchrach that it will never happen to any other behemoth that is treife? Mando amar treifo eno chayo. He says, because you see that all the behemoths in the world are not living more than 12 months. So that tells you that it will never happen. We see it's a matzah. It's a nature. It's a nature. You can't change it because it never happened. So that tells you that it will never happen, and that's a geder. Geder she'enu chayo 12 chodesh. But Aman de'omar she'treifo chayo, he says once in the history, even if it will never happen, but if it can happen, so you don't have a geder of treifo enu chayo. Therefore, you can't, lefi man de'omar treifo chayo, you can never check a sofek treifa. But if we hold that treifo enu chayo, so we can check it. And that's the Gemara Daf Nun Zayin. The Shulchan Aruch Siman Nun Zayin, Gemara Daf, also Daf Nun Vov, Nun Zayin, also. That if we have a sofek treifa, we can check it. The thing is that today we have a major problem. That a lot of the treifas, we see that they live. They live. The most clear and common example is the Indian of sirches. Okay? All our behemoths are full of sirches. It's a fact. Well, if we want to look for a real glass...
Not everyone knows what a sircha is.
What?
Not everyone knows what a sircha is.
Okay, it's the name of a treifa. We don't care what it is. One of the treifas, a very common treifa, that Rashi says, shezeh miut hamotzui, that it's common very much. So today, we see that almost all the behemoths, it's not common. It's like most of the behemoths are treifa. And they live. We have behemoths that live 2 years, 3 years, they live. And we shech them. For example, the main problem is the cows that give milk. Cows that give milk, a few times I was in the shechita of cows, milk cows. It's like 90% treifa. All of them have sirches. Why? Because you squeeze them and took out all the damatamzis. Everything went to the milk, and they stay with nothing. No minerals, no vitamins, nothing. By then, so they're full of sirches, and they can't walk when they come to the Beis HaMikdash, because they're very heavy with a lot of milk. Okay, but they're very weak and they're treifah. The interesting thing is that people think that it's a modern shaila. The kashrus of the milk, it's a modern shaila. Today we see, because today we have special cows for milk, and they develop them and they hybrid them only to be milk cows. No, that shaila is very, very old. I found it in Sefer Shibolei Aleket. Shibolei Aleket, he was בזמן סוף הראשונים, like בזמן 2 or 3 generations before the end of the Rishonim. And he brings there, Shoal Sheilo Sheshoal Rabbeinu Yehuda Echosid. You can see that in Shibolei Aleket, not in the regular Sefer, in the new edition of Mechon Yerushalayim. חלק יורדיה, באזור יורדיה. He brings there, Rabbeinu Yehuda Chosid, Baal HaSefer HaChasidim. He asked Rabbeinu Simche Mishpeire, he was one of the Baalei HaTosfos, and he asked him, he said, how can we drink milk? The Shoichtim say that Roi Behemois Treifois. That's what he said. The Shoichtim, in his days already, they said, Roi Behemois Treifois. So, how can we drink milk after you shecht those cows? Most of them become to be treifa. So you can't. The whole thing is if we say, Kol de porish merube porish. Okay? But now we see that the rube is not kosher. So we have, so he answered him, Rabbi Simcha, he answered him, we have 2 types of behem. Be'emo shchuto, so of course you must check the reo, and if you see that it's treifa, you're not allowed to eat. That's a shayle on the meat. The meat of be'emo treifa, you're right that roiv be'emo is treifas today. We'll explain soon why, but that's a fact that you see. But we have a klal, roiv be'emo is ksheros. That klal, it's a chazoke, but it's chazoke de mikore beteva habriye. שהקדוש ברוך הוא בורא es habriye. The briye must be that new calf that is born, he must be kosher. Why? Because he's supposed to live for a few years. So he's kosher. And we have no reuse. We have also klal. Rov be'emo is ksheros. Only if you find a reuse, you see that it's not walking well or not breathing well or something happens, so then you know that you have a reuse. And the reuse has chiyuv bdika. Pri Megodim says that the chiyuv bdika of reuse is worse than the chiyuv bdika of miut hamotzui. Today, Rashi says, Daf Yud Aleph, and also Daf Nun, Rashi says that today we don't have to check none of the treifas. No treifas we don't have to check, only the treifa of Reo. And that is the treifa of Sirches that, as Harav said, we don't know yet. Okay, we'll learn about it. But we have to know that you don't have to check nothing in the behemoth because you say roiv behemois ksherois. Also by oif you have that klal Mishneh Berurah Ilches Yom Tov. He says roiv oifois ksheris. Also, we have the same klal. But what is that roiv? If you look in the Shabshmaitze, Reb Shimon Shkop, the geder of roiv shel roiv behemois ksherois, really there's I didn't find that he explains it from the Yisoid of the Lomdis of Roy, because we can say two ways here. We can say a way that this Roy is Roy Habo Mechazoke, because I have Chezkas Chaim. This name is Chezkas Chaim. Chezkas Chaim means it will live forever, so it will live for 12 months, so it's not Treifet. As Rov Be'emo is Ksheros, Ki Rov Be'emo is Chayos, and the Chayo, if it's a living Be'emo, so it has Chazoke, and Mimele, it's a Roiv Abba Mechazoke. That's one way to understand that Roiv. The Roiv Be'emo is Ksheros. But there's a different way to understand Roiv Be'emo is Ksheros. It means it's not because of the chazoke. It's because of the brie. That means that when a Kadosh Baruch Hu is boire something, it's supposed to live. That's it. It's living. So, roiv behemois, if I don't see any change or any sickness or nothing, so it's supposed to be, it's not because of a chazoke. It's because the bria, the natural bria is to live. And he's supposed to live. And that we see in Rabbeinu Simcha. Rabbeinu Simcha, he says that we have, as I said, we have two types. Be'emo shchuto lefonecho, it's mechuyev bdike, and then I can find even roiv treifes. That's right. But be'emo chayo, Shi b'chayeo, I can't look inside. I don't know what's going inside. So till I didn't shech or open it, I can say that it's kivan she'en reuse, hi vaday shayeches leroiv be'emos ksheros. Even though afterwards, זה לא reuse הבא. I have reuse klali. I have a reuse klali that I know that most of the behemoths that I shecht, I find treifet. But I don't have a reuse in that specific behemoth that I'm drinking the milk from her. she looks healthy. She's walking. Have no, that behemoth has no reus. So that's what he answered Rabbeinu Yehuda Chossi. He said, כל בהמה שהיא עומדת בעדר, וכל הבהמות בעדר חיוס, ואין רעוסה, אז אנחנו תלינן שהיא מהמיעוט הקשרוס. It's interesting, like, usually we say that we have tliya beroi, okay? But here, Rabbeinu Simcha says, no, you can be toile b'miut, because there's no reuse, so you're allowed to say this is from the miut aksheru. Okay, but he didn't answer the answer that Louis Shoyer or Krisi Uplesi answered to that child. And the Pashtus, I think even that he's choilek on that. Wow. They answer, at Louis Shoyer, he says, the fact that you see that most of the behemoths come out to be treife, it's not real treife. It's only us that we're not boki, and we don't know. Teisves daf memches. He says, "Einonu bekim bebdikas asirches." We don't know how to check the sirches. So therefore, we are matrif most of the treifes. But really, klape ishmaye, if I catch one behemoth and I say, "Is this kshero or not?" For sure, it's kshero, and I have roiv ksherois. Why? Roiv ksherois bekashrus amitit. Klapi Shmaya, bebeit din shel malo. They will say it's kosher. Eliyahu, he knows the din. He will say it's kosher. We have chesron yediyah. So the chesron yediyah makes us to be machmir. So it comes out that we'll see that roiv the behemoths, if we shecht behemoths and we'll count them, roiv the behemoths we don't know. But it doesn't give us a real situation of roiv treifes. It's wrong. You think that it's roiv treifes. It's not wrong. It's not roiv treifes. But I understand that Rabbeinu Simcha, Shibor Aleket, is choilek on that because he didn't answer. First of all, on the days of the Sefer Hasidim, I don't know if they had so many chumres like we have today on the Bdikas Areo. Okay, so by him, the roiv that he's speaking about is a real roiv. You see that we have Iker Adin, roiv treifes. But in the what? In Reo, they had more. What? The Mechaber. The Mechaber, of course, yes. But even according to Ramo writes a few times, Einonu bekim bebdike, kol dover shetzorach bebdike, Einonu bekim. It's not only Sirches. We have like in Simen Lamed Hey, we have Simen Lamed Vov, we have dikes that they do in order to know what is the reason of a few tarfuyas. We put them in water, we check them. So Ramo says, "Anachnu lo bikim hayom b'zeh." Okay, we have more things that we're not boki chutz me'asirches. So it's like two answers, two different answers. Hashibor Aleket says that afilu me'iker adin, even if we have roiv, but that roiv is only in those that we shech. But those that are alive, because we don't see reuse, we can say that they belong to the miut. And the Simlo Chadosho, he says that no, all our tarfiyas are not real tarfiyas. It's only because of choser bekiyas, ve'roi be'emes ksheres b'mi'ikir adin. And we're allowed, even though we don't know, but when the be'emes is alive, so we can say, roi be'emes ksheres, okay. If I'll open and then I'll see, and I don't know how to deal with it, so then I'll be matric. But we're allowed to go to the roiv of Iker Adin when we deal about the milk. We're allowed to drink the milk because we go Mi'Iker Adin. Mi'Iker Adin is roiv ksheros and roiv cholov u mi'bein lo ksheros. Now a big shadow that we have. So we have like the sirches. We see that most of the behemoths have sirches and they live. I don't know if somebody made a test to see if a behemoth that has sirches will live more than 12 months. Because we have a klal, the Gemara says, Sugye Daf Tes, that we know that a sirche, or any scar that gets dry, if it's outside of the body, so it's immediately, all the blood, if it goes out to the air, it becomes dry and it cures. But mako that is inside the body doesn't get dry immediately. So it still bleeds. Let's say there was a needle that passed the Bnei Me'ayin, so it will bleed for 3 days because inside is a lot of humidity and warm and everything, and it will cure only after 3 days. So the Gemara says that sirche is, according to Rashi, there was a hole in the reyo, and then juice from inside came out and dropped out, and those drops, they dried and were attached to another spot in the reyo, and that made like a string. So the Gemara says that those strings, it takes them 3 days to create them in the body. It takes at least 3 days. Never less than 3 days. So now, if I find a sirche, I have a goat, I drink the milk of the goat, and I hold it in my refrigerator every day. I have the milk, and I know this is from yesterday, this is from last week. I know from when is each bottle of milk. So now, if I shech the goat and I find the sirche, I must not drink the milk from the last 3 days. Okay? I found the sirche, so that means that at least 3 days it was here. Maybe it came at the last moment that was possible. Okay, so the milk of last week I'm allowed to drink because it's soaking. But the last 3 days I must throw away. Okay? Now, today what they do also, when they want to send a cow to shchita, the cow that is giving milk, every day, today it's digital. So you see, they have like a list, how much milk did this cow give today, yesterday, every day. They have a graph. They see it's going up all the time. You feed it more, you know that as you take out, so it gives more. Okay, so the graph is going up, and we continue to take the milk. It's good. We're getting back our investment. Okay? But when we see that the graph is starting to go down, so it reaches a point that from now on it's not worth it. The price that you get for the milk is less than the food that you feed the behemoth. So, always you send it for shchita. So the klal that they do, they leave it for 3 days. 3 days they don't take the milk. And then after 3 days they send it to shchita. Now all the sirches that I find, even though I find a full reyo full of sirches, but I can be toilet, I can say, look, it happened that the last 3 days, the milk that this cow gave, that is in the market now, it's kosher milk because it was before the sirche, and the sirche came in the last 3 days, and now we won't eat the bein, okay? But the milk is okay. It's tzar b'alei chaim, very tzar b'alei chaim. Those cows are very poor because nobody takes out the milk, and it's full. They can't walk. They come out of the truck, they fall down on the floor, and usually they do the shchita right on the spot, on the floor, and it's not kosher. It's not glat. It's all kosher, not glat, because they consider it kimo mesikenes. But it's a big shaila, because it says in Darkei Tshuva, if a cow can't stand, not because she's sick, because she's carrying something heavy. Okay? That's not mesukenes she'eino yichol olamoy. I know the reason. It's not, but they don't give it to the glad. It's not glad. Okay? Okay, we don't care. But בצער בעלי חיים we have כלל שכל דובר שהוא לצורך האודום אין בו משום צער בעלי חיים. צער בעלי חיים is a special mitzvah, even if you say צער בעלי חיים דאורייסה, but the Torah didn't give it up against us. Okay? First is the Odom. If the Odom needs something, and it's necessary for him more than the needs of the Behemoth, so he can be Mitzayach the Behemoth, even if it's the Oraisa.
Money's a cheshbon. If you do it, it's the same.
Money, that's a Machloikas. Machloikas are poskim, if it's a cheshbon.
To make less money.
We have Tumas Adeshen. Tumas Adeshen says that even money, it's okay, that's Tzoyrech Odom. Why do I grow it? I grow it only for money. I don't like to grow cows. I grow them only for the milk. Okay?
Not the milk.
Milk and meat. No, today you have meat cows and meat calves and milk cows. It's not the same behemoth at
It's not
all.
worth anymore, so you send it to Shechita.
But it's not for shchita that we eat. It's shchita of frankfurters. Shchita of dog meat food. No, it's not good meat at all. It's dry and hard. It's not good meat. It's just for to get back. Yes. But they use it also for things that even it's like dog food
There's one
or
of
cat
the
food.
actual kosher in the rice.
Yes, you have that in the Rabbanim. They take it for salami or basar tachun and things like that. Yeah. Okay. But no, it never goes to good. Okay. Bezeiker. Okay. So, we went out a little bit. So now we're going back to the shaila that we see that we see treifes that live more than 12 months. And it was so drastic. Also, like the shaila of the milk, it's not a new shaila. It appears already betshuvas Avivosh. Avivosh brings, I don't remember what siman, he brings that the shoichtim in one town, they came against the Rabbonim. They said, why do you say that the sirches are osu? Most of our behemoths have sirches and they live. You don't understand the gemore of sirches. You don't know what is sirche. Those things that they have in the lung, it's not sirche. It comes off, I peel it off, it comes off immediately. You have a mistake, you think that it's a sirche, and that's the reason you say it's also. The shoichtim were arguing with the Rabboni, and they said, because we see that all the behemoths have it, so that's not the sirche shedibru bo chachomim. שהם דיברו על דבר שאינו מוצוי, שהוא טרייפה, and what we have is kosher. And they brought a raya. You see a raya, the behemoths live with it. If it was a real treifa like you hold, so they were supposed to die. They don't die. Okay?
How do they know when they got sick?
They find it afterwards.
So they know.
Okay, but they say that everybody all of them have. So it's probably, and if I will leave it, it will live more. So that tells us that it had it. Okay? I know that very recent research found that today most of the sirches happen when they take away the small calf from the mother. He wants to drink the milk, and they take him away in one day. I mean, they don't do it slowly, like it's traumatic. They take it at once, and the calf cries for 3 days, and he's like ill. He has like a sickness, and that sickness brings all the sirches. That I heard that from Arav Dr. Yisrael Meir Levinger. He's a shoichet and also a veterinarian. And he said that they found, I also heard it from more Chachmei Teva. They said that they found that most of the calves get these sirches at that time. Okay? So now that says, usually, the thing is, usually they don't keep any calf today more than 1 year. It's very, very rare that mostly the good meat comes from young calves. So we don't have enough experience to see if they live more than 12 months. But there are some of them that they keep. They keep, like, they have some big shvorim, and they see that they live. And they're supposed to have sirches like their friends. Dafka, it was interesting that it happened that they shecht some of those who had a long life. Dafka, they didn't have sirches. Okay? But and they said, because he's so old, that tells you that he doesn't have sirches. But it happened also that some of them had sirches. So they want to say that nature changed today, or nature changed, or that we don't understand sirches well. I heard that also from Boitkim. So a lot of Boitkim, even in Badatzin, they say, most of the things that we have, it's not sirches, it's ririm. That's what they say. It's ririm. We peel it off immediately. It's not a sirche. Okay? And also that shaila can be with operations. Today we have problems of operations. For example, the cows that after they give birth, so they have a problem with the stomach. The stomach when they're pregnant, so the calf inside the blood, he pushes all the organs up, and then the stomach goes up and climbs up and gets stuck towards the back of the baby, and you have to grab it back and bring it down and sew it to the wall of the body or something, and that sewing is with a needle, and they make a hole in the stomach. So we have a problem of that, and we see afterwards it lives. They do the operation. Today also we have by people also we have operations of cutting off intestines, stomach, all those things that they are treife. Nekuvas adakim, kuvas akeres, kuvas akeibo. It's all treife, and today we do operations, and they live. Chaim aruchim afterwards. So what do we do with those things? So we have famous Ramban. Aran brings the Ramban. Ramban says, by two cases of Ilches Treifes, he has that shaila. The first one is the treife of Nekuvas Atroil. Atroil is the spleen. We have a very interesting halacha by the spleen. If the spleen is missing, so the behemoth is kosher. Like we found by Adoniyo ben Chagis. Nisnas leimoy ani emloich. The Gemara Perek Chelek says, "V'chamishim ish rotzim lefonov kulom netulei tchoil." They take off the spleen, and then they can run because it doesn't ache. When they run, it doesn't bother them. They can run and run and run. So netulas atchoil is kosher. But nekuvas atchoil, if you have a hole in the wide side of the spleen, not the thick side, not the thin side, that has chiyus there, and then the behemoth is treifin. So Ramban says, what will happen if I will do an operation? And today they do that thing. I know I had a neighbor, but he fell from a high place, and his spleen got squashed, and they took him in a helicopter immediately to the hospital. What did they do? They took out the spleen. And he's living, Baruch Hashem, I met him a week ago. That's like 30 years after it happened. Baruch Hashem. She'arich yomi. Ad 120 and more. Okay? They do that operation today. If something happens to the spleen, they take it out. So Ramban says, what about Treife? So he says, Libi choichech. I think that maybe it's kosher. It's kosher. Why? Because the tarfus is nekuva asatchoel. Now this body is not nekuva asatchoel. It has no nekev in the tchoel. It doesn't have tchoel, but it doesn't have nekev. And the Loshen of Rambam is she'iru mako be'ever me'evoreo haminisimo iso. That means that every minute that it's inside, it will kill it. But if it's not there anymore, it won't kill the behemoth. Let's see also. The second thing is where Ramban wants to be machshir is nishtabru ragleo min arkubo ulemalo treife min arkubo ulemato ksheiro. So there's a machlokes. What is arkubo? We have 3 bones in the leg, and there's machlokes if the arkubo is the middle one or the bottom one. So we have halacha that if the tzomes hagidim that's in the bottom of the middle bone, if you cut it in tzomes hagidim, it will be treife. But if you break the bone on top of tzomes hagidim and you don't touch the tzomes hagidim is a bunch of muscles at the bottom of the shoik. Okay? So if you cut those muscles, the behemoth is treife. But if you break the bone on top of it, where there are no muscles anymore, it's only flesh there, meat, you cut it there, it's ksheiro, according to that deiro. So also Ramban says, if some behemoth will come to you that it was nital tzomes hagidim, so you can cure the behemoth, cut it on top of tzomes hagidim, and now it has no tzomes hagidim, so no nital tzomes hagidim, and it will be kosher. All other Rishonim are choylek. Okay, Rashbo, Aran, they're all choylek on that. They say you can't kasher the behemoth that way. So we have to understand this voice of that machlokes. Another thing that can help us to understand the things here, we have a machlokes between a Rashbo and a Roish. Rashbo, in his days, there was a Chochom Be'eino that he said, look, the Mishnah brought us all the Chai Treifes, but at the end of the Mishnah says, Ze HaKlal, Kol Shen Komoyo Chayo, Treife. So he started to make tests to all the treifes that were in his days, and he found that there were some treifes that they live more than 12 months. So he said they are kosher. Well, in the days of the Mishnah, they didn't live, but today they live. So he said they're kosher. So Harashbo came out against him very, very sharp. He said, "Ze kfire, ze kfire. Im chachomim omru she'eino chayo, treifo eino chayo." So it's impossible that will happen anywhere, anytime. It will never happen that a behemoth will live more than 12 months. And those behemoths that you count and you keep them, and you see that they live, in order to believe to Chachomim, we must say that you had a mistake, you didn't count the dates right, or maybe somebody changed the behemoth without you seeing. But in order to be Mekayim Divrei Chachomim, I must say that you didn't do the test well. It's wrong. It's impossible that there will be even one Be'emet that will live. Haroish, Toisves Haroish, on Maseches Nideh, beginning of Maseches Nideh, he brings that מה שאומרו בטרייפו אינו חיו הוא על דרך הרויב. They mean that רוב טרייפס אינם חיוס. That also, the Aroish wants to explain the Machloikes, טרייפו חיו, טרייפו אינו חיו. So if we say like a Rashbo, how can somebody say טרייפו חיו? It never happens. Even the Gemara says, the man Omar שאמר טרייפו חיו, he said, he claimed, והלא יש שחיוס 2 ו3 שונים. We saw in our eyes the emes that were treif and they lived. So Roish says that it's like a roiv, and those behemoths that you see that they live, they're miut. They're miut, לא חיישינא למיעוטה. אינה לא חקר המאיר תחייש למיעוטה. אנחנו לא חיישינא למיעוטה. And he says it's so strong that even if I have a shaila of sofek treife, Rashbo says, because you see that if you have sofek treife, you can test it. You can leave it for 12 chodesh, and if it lives, that will tell you that it's really not treife. So you see that if you're allowed to do such a test, so for sure, the treife eno chayo means that there's not even one that will be chai, because if you do that test and there's one that will be chai even though it's treife, so the test is not good anymore. So that's the reason of הרשב"א. אבל הרויש אומר, אף על פי שיש כמו מיעוט שיחיה, כל התרא כולו זה על דרך הרויב. אני יכול ללכת אחר הרויב. So if I have a shaila of sofek treife, so what do? I put it to see if it will live 12 chodesh. If it lives, רויב אלה שחיוס הן כשרו, אז אני תולה, לא אומר שגם שלי היא מהרויב. כך אומר הרויש וגם המהרש"ל בים של שלמה. He says, ממש the same thing. That the way that we do Treifo Eno Chayo and we do the test is that after it passes the test, we are toile that it belongs to the roiv and we're allowed to be toile. Okay? So we see here, Machlokes, that Lefi Rashbo, it's impossible that it will happen that. So how do we explain what's going on today? Haroish, maybe we can say, מיעוט, אלה כל אלה שאתה רואה הם מהמיעוט. יש אולי רויב, you see operations, you see those who live, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought all those mute people that will live after the operation, and they did the operation, but you have a roiv, Ruben de Alme, that didn't do the operation, that if they will do the operation, they will die. So you don't have that, we can explain that, according to Harosh, that they belong to the mute. Okay? Hashem made it that they will all come, they will need the operation, and all the behemoths that you see that are chayos, they belong to the mute. Because Ruben de Alme is a lot, it's millions. You don't have them, it's Ruben de Leise come on. So I don't know, we have in Argentina, I have more cows that if you take, you do those things to them, they will die. Okay? But we have the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish says that, and the Chazon Ish, let's start with the Simlo Chadosho. Simlo Chadosho, he has a sefer, Nara and Aloche, sefer al Agmore. It's called Bechoyer Shor. The Bechoyer Shor he says that we see today some treifas that live. So he says, no, you have to know that the whole thing of Treifo Eno Chayo doesn't go according to today. It goes according to Yemei Chazal. In Yemei Chazal, they wouldn't live. So then they were kovea the halacha, and now even though the situation changed, but we have to go according to Yemei Chazal. And he adds there a sentence that is like a ba, and nobody pays attention to that sentence. He says, "Ulefi ze nofal bebeire b'dikas yud beis chodesh." You can't do b'dikas yud beis chodesh. ככה אומר סימנו חדושו. But לעניוס דייטי we can answer. No, we can do בדיקת יוד בייס חודש. If we hold like a Rashbo, so נופל לבירה בדיקת יוד בייס חודש. But if we hold according to a Roish, so we can do בדיקת יוד בייס חודש, and we'll say that if it passed the בדיקה, תלינן שהוא מהרויב חיוס. וזה כושר.
Matthias was not says that Roy could live even with
Yes.
the simon, so then your simon is not a simon anymore.
Yes,
You're saying that Matthias was the Shana from Zman Chazal. Elamai, the din trade says totally in Zman Chazal.
yeah.
So what's the Bedika of Zman Hazeh?
So the Zika Bisman is because we say that, like I said the Cheshbon before, that there is mute that can live. Today, for some reason, the mute became big. We also have to know more. We have to go into another thing. What is mute? Mute. What is mute? Legabe b'dikas areyo. So we say that we have a chiyuv b'dike. Rashi says, why do we have to check areyo? Because the sirches are miut hashchiach, or we call it miut hamotzu. We have chiyuv b'dike. I brought the Pri Megadim before that if we have a reuse in the thing, so the chiyuv b'dike of reuse is midoraise. Why? Sofek doraise lechumre. I have a behemoth that is walking like a cripple. Goyrer es ragleo. So I have to check the feet to see what does she have in the raglayim. Why? Because sofek doraise lechumre. I can't check it. I have to see if it's safe or not. Or even if I check it, I have to check it after the shchita. But בדיקה של מיעוט המוצוי אין לו חיוב בדיקה מדאורייסה בכלל, אלא זה רק חיוב דרבנון. And the Rashbo brings from Rabbeinu Yeine that it's takonas chachomi, לבדוק. But what is the miut hashchiach? So the Oilom usually goes and speaks about the Mishkenes Yankiv. Mishkenes Yankiv, he says that Simen Teszayin, Yudzayin, Tesvov, he says that miut hamotzui is 1 from 10, 10%. And that's what the Oilom usually holds. But we have to know that we have from Rishonim, we have Tshuvas Harivosh. The Tshuvas Harivosh doesn't say a percent or a number, but he says a geder, and in that geder we have a lot of opinions. It's interesting. The Loshen of Harivosh is miut shu koroiv leroiv ze miut hamotzu. So what is koroiv leroiv? So I saw Alav HaShalom, we had the Yortzeit on Shabbos, Rav Ovadia Yosef. He said miut koroiv leroiv is like 40%. Koroiv leroiv. That means that any miut that is less than 40%, that's miut gomu. That you have no chiyuv dikya, nothing. Okay? That's what he says. He says that's the lashon. Koroiv leroiv. Roiv is 51%. Koroiv leroiv is like 40%. But somebody spoke in the koilel, and he said that he thinks that Harivosh means 26%. Why? From where did he bring that 26? He said, we are now half the way to the Roiv is 25. So, Korev Leroiv is 26%. That's Korev Leroiv, maybe. But it's very schwer. I think that the Poiskim, a lot of Poiskim, they didn't bring the Tshuvas Harivosh because it's not clear. We don't have exact like a percent. People today like percents, numbers. Okay, so Amishkan is Yankev, he said a number, so we have with what to deal.
אמרנו מקודם שהרוב הוא אבן הטבע, אז זה לא מספר בכלל.
Oh. So now we have a very nice chidush from Rav Wosner Zatzal, Shevet HaLevi. He says, Miut HaMotzui, he doesn't say it besoich divrei HaRivosh, but we can push it in divrei HaRivosh. He says, Miut HaMotzui is not percents, it's not numbers. Because Rashi once calls it Motzui, and once he calls it Shchiach. Shchiach is, you can't measure it in numbers. Shchiach means common. What is common? I have a lot of cases, and you go every day to the Shlachtois. Every day you have Maisalach and things that happen. You come back home. The Talmidim come to you and say, what happened today in the Shlachtois? So you say, what a strange Maisa we had. We had Nekev ba Moro Nisrach Kove, something. Wow, that's something. It's not common. It's a special thing. That's called miut. זה מיעוט, זה דבר שלא קורה. מה זה מיעוט המוצוי? מיעוט המוצוי means, I'll ask you, what happened today in Shlachtois? Did you have sirches today? Of course. Every day we have sirches, yes. That's called miut hamotzi. Miut hamotzi means something that it's not a surprise. When I open the Be'ema and I find it, it's not a surprise. And the Loshen Rav Wosner is, שיש ממנו כל יום, לפעמים יש בכל יום בבייס המטבחיים, יש כאלה. יש כשרים, יש כאלה. זה נקרא מיעוט המוציא. That means it's common, it happens every day. But the shaila is, some poskim wrote like a kasha on that geder. They say that I can say if I have a shoichet of the shtetl, okay? He has 5 chicken a day and 1 cow for Erev Shabbos, okay? So then I say, oh, that case is a surprise, it's something that never happens, or it's a case that always we have. But today, you have a factory that you shecht 10,000 chicken a day. Of course, you'll have everything. Anything can happen today. Okay? So, but if you read the Tshuva, you see that he's speaking davka in the factories. Davka. Because the shoichet and the shtetl can happen that he'll never see something. Because it never, it happens once. You have one in 20 behemoths, he shechs 20 behemoths a year. Okay? So they ask him, did you have sirches? No, it happened. The last Erev Pesach I had a sirches. Okay? So it's not a real test to check it. But a place that you have a lot of shchitas, a lot of treifas, a lot of that, and you see that is common, so that is miut hamotzi. And that's a geder that today, most of the Badei Kashris that do bdikes, they work with that geder. And not only that, all the new things that come up, for example, Tzomes Hagidim B'Oiv, things that they were not common in the old days. They're common only now, but they check them. Why? Because the Pia Shevet HaLevi, the Miut HaMotzui, you see every day, I have problems in Tzomes Hagidim by the Oifes, so it's Miut HaMotzui. Those who don't want to check, they say, I counted, it's not 1 from 10, it's not Miut HaMotzui, but Rav Wosner he says it's not a shaila of numbers. It's motzui that everybody sees it, everybody knows about it.
But in a big factory where they're supposed to check hundreds of thousands,
yes.
not 0.0001%, because you call the mina motzi,
No.
it can't really be.
That, no. Something like that, let's say they say, a treifer that they send the picture, each friend sends pictures, so that's a Einoi Mot. But if something that he doesn't send the picture, that's what the Sheikhtim do. If they find something, they send pictures. Look, we had today, Shnei Einunisa de Varde. We had a thing, interesting, interessante Sachen. So they send, okay?
We might speak to Trefus from today that are living in Mituchim from the Gaza. It seems to be more than even being a Muslim.
Yes, yeah, okay. So now comes the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish, he says more than the Simul Chazon. He doesn't say Nofal Bebebe. He says also today we can check Likasik Beis Chodesh. But the Chazon Ish brings a Gedol. It says the Gemore of the Zohar, Sheishes Alfin Shnin Have Alme. This Olam Hazeh is 6,000 years and is divided into 3 sections. Shnei Alofim Toyu, that means Ad Avrom Avinu. Shnei Alofim Teire, that means from Avrom Avinu Ad Chasima Satalmud, Ravashi Veravine, Soifoi Roeh. And then we have Trei Alfin Imoisa Moshiach. It's not the Imoisa Moshiach, it's the Golus and the end of the Golus. That's all called Imoisa Moshiach. Okay, so the Alpayim Teire, Chazon Ish says, the Chachomim got Reshus. In those years, they can decide what will be Treife, what won't be Treife, according to what? According to the Refuah in those days, according to the Metzias those days, according to the knowledge of those days. Okay? So, if in those days they didn't know about something, Chazon Ish says that Chizkiyahu HaMelech gonaz Sefer Refuos, so a lot of things that Shlomo HaMelech he knew, but since Chizkiyahu took them away, so we don't know them. And what is the whole science of the Refuah today? You see, oh, they discovered this, they discovered that. They're just bringing back things that were already written in the Sefer Refuah Shel Chizkiyahu, and now they're discovering them again. But it's written there already. All the Refuahs that we have, they were in the world already before. It's just that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like sending them the ideas more and more. And it says the Zohar HaKodesh that the Elef HaShishi will send a lot, more and more, a lot of things together that will know a lot. Okay, okay? So we know now that there is a Refuah. So therefore, because in the days of Chazal they didn't have that Refuah, or it didn't kill, that was what happened then, or what they knew then. So everything goes according to Imei Chazal. The thing is that if we see today, okay? Today we see that something can live or something can't live. We have to know another Gemara, Daf Nun Dalet. The Gemara says that they were hunters that used to go out to hunt animals, and they tried to catch them, so they shot them in the kidney. They made a hole in the kidney, or they had a stick or something and they hit the Gidanoshe. There's no such treife of Gidanoshe. Gidanoshe has nothing to do with treifes. But what happened was they hit the Gidanoshe and the baby died, or they hit the kidney. There's no halacha that nikvu akloyos. It's kshero. But it happened then, they hit the kidney with the arrow, and the behemoth was dead afterwards, before 12 Chodesh. So they came to the Chachomim, and they said, maybe we should add these two things to the treifes. You see that, the Eino Chayo. So the Chachomim answered them, they said, Gmirei di'i badrei lo same chay. If you give medication to that behemoth, it will live. So that means that all the treifes that we see, that means that in those days they didn't have medication to that treife. For example, today a lot of chachomim beineim, they ask, why do you say nitlu akloyos treife, nitlu akloyos ksheiro? It's impossible. Today everybody knows, if you take from the behemoth one kidney, it will live. But if you take 2 kidneys, the behemoth can't live. So why is it ksheiro? The answer is, that you see then, I badri la samo, they had in those days a medication for a behemoth that has no kidneys. They gave it to the behemoth lived. Today we don't have that medication. So today the behemoth dies. But in the days of the Gemara, and the interesting thing is that it's ksheiro even if you don't give the behemoth the medication. The opportunity that if I'll have the medication, even if it's in a far country, we don't have the medication here. But we know that in the university somewhere they have a medication for this treife. It's not treife. Because efsharut, the ability that we have, that I can cure the behemoth, so that gives it, it makes it that it's not, it's ksher. Okay? Okay. Today we have dialysis, right? But Rashbam of the Basra, I don't remember where, when he brings the Gemara of Badri la Same, he doesn't, his girsa is not Same, his girsa is Samtrei. Samtrei. What is Samtrei? So the Gemara brings there a maise. There's a grass that if I put it on something, it attaches it. And he brings there a maise. Somebody found that grass. Somebody told him, this grass is that grass, it's Samtrei. If you put it on something, it will cure it. So he found a lion, a dead lion in the field. He put the grass on the dead lion, and the lion woke up and ate him. Okay? But how does that grass, that Rashbam, he explains that the Sam is not a Sam like we have. We have medications that most of the medications today, they fight not with the disease, they fight with the symptoms or the aches or the results of the sickness. They don't fight with the etzem machle. They don't cure it, like to take it out. They just help us to live with the machle. Most of the medications that we have today. But the Samtrei is merape mikore, the aver. If I have it, nikav aveshet, and I bring the Samtrei and I put it on the veshet, so the nekev goes and mikore, the veshet becomes to be original veshet of a behemoth chayo. And that is the pshat. If badru lesame is Samtrei that cures the aver and builds it back to be kevatchilo. Okay, now Ramban, when the Ramban says, I take off the Tzomes HaGidim, and now the behemoth is a behemoth that has no bothers of Nitel Tzomes HaGidim. That is like Samtrei. That it's not a medication that I do, the operation that I do in order to let the behemoth live. I build the behemoth from the beginning. I take that aver that had the tarfus and I build it back. Also, when I take out, I cut on top of the Tzomes HaGidim, I build now a new leg that has no nital Tzomes HaGidim. It's a new leg. It's like Samtrei. And that's the Indian. Things that I can do like that, it's not treifa choizeres lechshero. Ze mikore. Like Rashi brings why we have a aloche, daf memches, nikav, nikvo reyo, v'doifen soisamto. I have a hole in the lung, and the wall, the ribs, are leaning on the reyo, and the air doesn't come out, so it's kosher. So Rashi says how the Gemara says nekev she'olo boreyo machmas mako kum she'olo boreyo al nekev. I had a nekev and then I had a kum einoi kum. The Rashi says she'soifo ili soser. That means that even if I have a cover, a natural cover that comes on, it doesn't help me. I have a nekev and I had that cover, it won't help me. Why? Because it came afterwards. I had a second with the hole. That second, I don't fix it. Even if I have something on top, it's not fixing the hole. The hole is still existing. It's just covered. That's not refuah. But Re'er shenikva v'doifen soisamto, Rashi says, have stime mi kore, because that place of the reo is standing on the ribs, where the ribs are holding the reo all the time. Even if I had a needle that came there and made a hole, that hole is not a hole. The stime mi kore, when I created the hole, already I had the healing that is healing the hole. So it's not a hole. And those things, if I have refuahs that are refuah mikore, that we can say that the trefach or izeres nechshero, but it's not, because one of the Rishonim, Ramban, Aran, they brought against the Ramban. Aran brought against the Ramban a Gemara in Perek Beimo Amkasho. The Gemara says, מה טרייפו, מה בוסר שיוצא חוץ למחיצוסוי, אין לו היתר. We said at the beginning that the posuk of treife means also בוסר שיוצא חוץ למחיצוסוי. Okay, let's say I had b'sar kodshim, and it came out of the azoro, with nifsal b'yoytze. Now if I bring it back in, it's yoytze. It will never be, maybe if I do such a thing, I took it out, and then somebody will come and be mekadesh the place where I am, and build the choimo there, and add it to Yerushalayim. Maybe lemafreya, I'll say that it wasn't yoytze. Okay, that's the inyan of the refuahs that Ramban holds that they can be, it can help, because mikore, the problem is not existing anymore. Okay? But if I have, so they bring that Gemara. מה בוסר שיוצא חוץ למחיצוסוי אין לו היתר, אף טרייפה אין לו היתר. That means that if it had 1 second that it was treife, the body got shocked already, and that's it. You can't fix it. Can't fix it. But if you do stime mi kore, that מקור אלוהיה, הקדמת תרופו למקום. הקדים תרופו למקום. So there was no מקום. So that we can say טרפו חזרס להכשירו. Now we have to see the things that we have today. If it's טרפו חזרס להכשירו, or it is סטימה מקור. We have to see what is the way that they do. Let's say those operations that you see that there's a hole or something, we cut off and sew it back. Maybe that's like stime mi kore. Like I took the place and it's not here anymore. Now the body has no holes. So it's like the Ramban. Those operations, in order to explain them, why does the Bein Mechai after that? Okay, we still have it's just the beginning, like Efes Kotze, we have a lot, can speak more, but for the beginning, it's
Okay, I'll sort of laugh at 360.